Hey tribe, welcome back to my channel. It has been such a long time, but we are here. So today's conversation or topic is really inspired by my Uber driver, hence the title, Money Lessons for My Uber Driver. So it was last week Thursday, I did a podcast for a client, and I just have to brag. I was interviewing Kasta Semenya. She is the most amazing person I have interviewed in a very long time. And sure, there are many more brilliant people that I've interviewed, but I thoroughly enjoyed her interview and her book that's coming out. So anyway, I'm coming from Newtown from the interview. I'm going to the airport because I have some work with another client in Cape Town. And so I got an Uber. So we start off having the conversation, the normal conversation around politics, how the country's going, that sort of thing. And we are agreeing with most things. So because I'd pre-booked the trip, it was going to take us through the inroads, but I needed to get to the airport ASAP. So he took the highway and he said, it's going to be a little bit more. I said, no, it's fine. I'll do an e-wallet or maybe I can throw some cash. And he says to me, no, I don't take cash. I said, huh? Which person won't take cash? And I said, okay, but I just start being a little bit curious. I'm like, okay, but why don't you take cash? And he says to me, my sister, I learned a long time ago that if I want to progress, I need to make sure that my financial affairs are in order. I said, what? What language am I hearing right now? And he told me that he never takes cash because with his Uber, he has registered it as a business. So he wanted me to rather put it as a tip instead of cash so that the funds can go into his business account, right? So I don't know actually how Ubers work. I don't know if you can, you get paid per every day at the end of the day or something like that, or you can sort of make it into a monthly amount. So that's what I didn't get. But essentially, he wanted to make sure that the funds are recorded. He wanted to make sure that the funds go into the business account because he says from there, he pays himself a salary. I said, what? Where did you learn this? He says, he learned a long time ago when he started with Uber, which is about 4 years ago, that he just didn't want to have one Uber. And he just didn't want to be an Uber driver forever. So he knew that for him to do that or be able to do that, he would have to turn it into a business. And he says he started consuming content around personal finance, around business, and he started reading. And I was just astounded that here is someone who had a dream, who had a goal, and found a way to go about it. So that was the first thing, that he distinguished between his personal finances and business finances. So he went on further to tell me that he and his wife, who is a teacher, they had, they wanted to buy a house. And he was saying to me, you know what, we don't earn a lot of money. My wife is a teacher. She also doesn't earn a lot of money. But we started saying, okay, the goal is that when we get married, we are going to buy a house. And so he started having a conversation with his then girlfriend or fiance about, okay, how are we going to buy a house? Excuse me. And the fascinating thing is that he started this conversation, and he found out through that conversation that his fiance or girlfriend at the time, that she had stored clothing accounts and some silly debt. And she said, you know what, before we get married, my good sis, you have to sort this out. And from there, they worked out a plan to say, okay, any extra money that we have, you are going to make sure that you pay off your debt. And so the girlfriend did that. And for me, it's such a beautiful thing, realizing he had a goal. He was very intentional about his life. And he started talking early on about, okay, how are we going to achieve our goals? So he sat down with his now wife and said, we are not going to start our lives on debt. And another conversation we had, he was saying that, he's expecting a child. And it's like, I'm so excited. My dreams are coming true. I'm going to be a girl dad because the wife is expecting a girl who's going to be born in February. I wish them all the best. And he was telling me about his own story, how he grew up, that his mom, when she found out that she was pregnant, the guy completely just bailed. She never saw him again, and out of frustration, and I think maybe heard from the mom, his own words, not mine, he says that his mother dumped him at his grandmother's house, so he was raised by his grandmother, which is a story for, a lot of people, unfortunately. And so in him growing up and being raised by his grandmother, one of the things he says he told himself, and he made a contract with himself, was that he is going to have a family. And he says it was just his biggest desire. So he says he had to do a lot of work on himself, right? He says that obviously other people in his position who they were left with their grandmothers, they already had kids by like 20, and 3, 4 kids, 2 kids here with different people. And he said that he did not want that for himself. And so what he did was make sure that he did not have kids. This is going to be his first kid. But for me, the lesson there was just how working on yourself is so important, huh, Pam?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So important.
Regardless of the situation and background you come from, working on yourself is one of those key things in life. Mm-hmm. If you want better for yourself, you have to work on yourself. Even just in terms of business, in terms of work, you really have to put in the work in yourself. And it kind of reminds me of a quote I absolutely love. I'm not going to say it correctly, word for word, but it says, becoming rich or wealthy, or the person you want to be, or reaching the financial goals you want, it's not so much in the financial goals themselves. It's the work and who you become as a person, the things that you have to do, the things that you have to experience. Pam is just rolling her eyes because she's going through the most right now. Oh, by the way, Pam has her own store now where she does hair. So she has rent to pay, she has employees, salaries to pay. So she's going through the most. But for you to grow, you can never ever stay in the same position, ever. We're even talking about our plans for next year, how I'm bringing in other people as well. So you have to be a completely different person. You cannot achieve the things you want to achieve by remaining the same person. It is impossible. It is impossible, Pam. All right. So that awareness and that self-awareness that, this is what I want, and I know I'm going to have to be disciplined in how I handle myself in business and in relationships. So he took that off as well. So he was saying that he's expecting a child and they can't wait. And he was saying that now one of the goals is to put away money because they want to renovate their house. And I said, oh, wow, that's fantastic. How long is it going to take? It's like, no, we haven't done anything around the house. We've just been saving, making sure that we have enough money to start with the renovations. And we're going to do that in 2 years. Imagine the discipline it takes for you to say, I know that I will be able to do this in X amount of years. And one of the things that really fascinated me, he says, now that they don't have any debt other than the house, and of course the Uber cars that he has are under a business, and he says that one is paid off, is the fact that he calculates. He's not afraid of numbers. Oftentimes we say, oh, no, I want to do this. I want to go on holiday in Bali with my kids in the next, you just kind of put it out there, but you actually never write it down and say, okay, this is what I want. What is it going to take? So if it's going to cost me 10,000, it means that every month how much extra do I have? It means that I can save an extra I can put away 200 rand and I will reach my goal in 2.5 years. We never ever do that. And I've seen it with people paying off debt. We don't set a goal for yourself. You don't say, okay, this is the full amount. How much extra can I put away towards this debt? And what is my timeline? When am I going to finish this off? So I think that's very important. What else did I learn from him? Discipline, having goals, having a vision for yourself and for your family. So another fascinating thing that he told me is, you know, when they got married, he decided, you know what, let us wait a year at least to get to know one another in this contract of marriage, because I mean, it is a contract, right? And so they waited. When they were finally ready to have a child, thankfully God gave them a child. And like I was saying, she's going to be born in February. So one of the things he said is like, you know what, some of his mates or people he knows were saying, you know, things are going to change now that you have a child and whatnot. And he's like, you know, because he was so intentional, he's enjoying this phase so much of his wife being pregnant and expecting the child that he has been dreaming about. So for me, it was just, you know what, be intentional with your life.
Yeah.
Right? Be intentional with your life. That's what he's taught me. And
Don't
also,
let people project.
very good,
When you are
Pam.
intentional,
Yes,
you
don't
go.
let people project also, right? Focus on your focus.
Yeah.
Do the things that are right and genuine to you, and you feel like, you know what, this is the path that I want to take. And I'll give you an example, especially now with social media. It can be a fantastic tool, as I always say, but a terrible, terrible, terrible tool as well if you let it get to you. Because most of the time people project and you're looking at other people like, oh my gosh, they're doing this. That's their lives. Your life is your life. What is it that you desire? What is it that you want to achieve? And who are you willing to become to get those things? Are you willing to be intentional with your life, or you're just gonna just kind of go with how it goes? And so another lesson for me is we can all learn from one another. Whether you're an Uber driver, whether you are a cleaner, whether you are a CEO, all of us, we need one another so we can draw lessons from one another. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. And also tell me, what are some of the fascinating conversations you've had with people? What are some of the lessons you've learned from others that have stayed with you? Please do share. I'd like to hear those stories. See you soon, tribe. Bye.